having watched the documentary on Michael Jordan over the past couple weeks, what I thought about was obviously the human body. Why wouldn't you? And it occurred to me that as a way to understand what patterns are and how a pattern can take over, it's really important to think of analogies in other areas of life. If you try to think about PRI too intellectually, it's just going to make your brain explode. So if you can think of it, as I said, in terms of different disciplines, it helps to put it a little bit in perspective to understand, especially when, even if you don't understand the nitty-gritty aspects of what muscle does what, if you can understand the bigger concept, then everything else can start to kind of fall into place. So the left AIC, right BC, right TMCC pattern is completely normal. Just like having a dominant player on the team is normal. It just means that it's just describing the fact that we have a dominant right side of the body, and that's never going to change. That's what the left AIC, right BC, right TMCC pattern is. It's simply saying that this is the side of the body, the right side, that you prefer. And that's all that is saying. It's built into everybody, so it's not like, how do I not have it? You're going to have it. It's only a problem when someone like Michael Jordan is so dominant that he doesn't let Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, John Paxson, Bill Cartwright, all really good players, well, in some respects, especially Scottie Pippen. I mean, he's one of the top 50 players of all time. Michael Jordan, the dominant right side of the body, is awesome to have under the right circumstances. But to be successful overall, Michael Jordan's got to play ball with Scottie and John Paxson, Steve Kerr. I can't remember who else was on that team. Ron Harper. All those teams, all those guys, they have to play a role too for the benefit of the team. When Michael Jordan thinks that, Bill Cartwright should not have the ball with, any time remaining on the clock, close to the end of the game, because that's bullshit. That's a bullshit offense. He might be right, but he's got to get everyone else involved, like he did during the end of his career when he actually, I remember against the Phoenix Suns, he actually passed out to John Paxson, who sank the three to win the game. So he was able to trust in that left side of the body. That right side, Michael Jordan, was able to trust that left side enough to play ball. But you need a master integrator behind all of this, right side and left side. And that had to be Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was that brain. Now, the guy before that, Doug Collins, I think the coach before him was Doug Collins, or Mike something Collins. I think it was Doug Collins. He fed everything through Michael Jordan. It was all about give Michael Jordan more shots. Everything got driven through Michael Jordan. All the offense flowed through Michael Jordan. He was probably one of those, he was a black hole of basketball, just like Carmelo Anthony. He gets the ball, the offense stops. There's no more motion. You stand around, you watch, and he takes over. Then Phil Jackson comes along. And I don't think Michael Jordan really loved Phil Jackson in the beginning, because Phil Jackson brought that triangle offense. And it was all about sharing the ball and passing and movement. And so instead of Michael Jordan being the Bulls, now Scottie, John Paxson, Horace Grant, they all played a role and the ball flowed. Michael Jordan was still dominant, but he allowed the rest of the team to play. And that's the key issue. The right side is dominant and it always will be, but it has to let go enough. It has to relinquish control and that anxiety of letting go to let the rest of the team play ball, to let the left side get back into life. And when that doesn't happen, that perfect normal dominance of left AIC, right TMCC dominance becomes a problem, because you get stuck over in one position and it limits your ability to move without compensation. So, Michael Jordan was amazing before Phil Jackson and the triangle offense, but the Bulls weren't. They were getting better. They became amazing when they learned to play as a team, when Michael Jordan developed confidence in the rest of the team, that they could actually play up to his standards. Although, I don't know, if you watch that, it didn't look like he believed anyone could play up to his standards. So that's the analogy I would make, is that, oh, but in times of stress, this is the interesting thing. A gentleman from New Zealand that I've been working with, he actually let me know that one day he was walking and someone FaceTimed him and he was on his right leg. He realized his weight was shifted over to the right and he had the phone in his right hand, and I guess he was talking, and he just started to really feel an ache. Well, that's the pattern coming back. But now he realizes there's nothing really wrong, because he was able to turn that pattern off by getting into his left side and using the phone with his right hand. So he was able to turn the pattern off. He didn't realize he had slipped into right-sided, bad Michael Jordan land, when Michael Jordan wanted to be, non-triangle offense Michael Jordan. But he was able to get out of it quickly enough because he recognized it. And that's the important thing. Previously, when people would get into, when people will fall into pain, a painful episode, they don't know what's going on. But when you have an idea of what these patterns are and how they get kicked into play, how they just seemingly come out of nowhere, and you start to hurt again, if you realize it's a pattern and you understand what that pattern is, you can get yourself out of it. Another woman that I work with in California, she wanted to try getting squatting and deadlifting back into her life. I don't even think they were just kind of like body weight squats. And I just said to be careful. And I know a lot of people don't believe that squatting should be an issue. And I saw some posts on Instagram not too long ago, kind of making fun of the idea that some people shouldn't squat, or I don't really know what the context was, but for a lot of people, squatting is problematic, because if you go into the way that squatting is taught in strength training, because if you go into a squat, which is going to put your body into extension, some people, if they've been in pain, not just some, a lot, if they've been in pain, going into extension, even in a bodyweight squat, is enough to set Michael Jordan off. Not the good Michael Jordan, the bad Michael Jordan, the Doug Collins Michael Jordan, the pre-Phil Jackson Michael Jordan, the ball hog Michael Jordan, not the guy who is spreading the wealth and winning more. That right side will come roaring back. Sometimes you need it. Remember, Michael Jordan, sometimes he would take over at the end of the game. That's great because he was dominant. But he's got to, then he has to let go. But when Michael Jordan takes over for that woman who tried to do a squat, didn't let go. So we had to get her back on track. And actually, when I talked to her, she had gotten it under control. She realized what was happening, identified the pattern, knew what she had to do, and she was fine. So that's my analogy. You're going to need Michael Jordan, but you don't want Doug Collins Michael Jordan. I think that was his name, Doug Collins. Either way, you don't want pre-Phil Jackson Michael Jordan. You want Phil Jackson triangle offense Michael Jordan, who allows the left side, Horace, Scottie Pippen, to play ball. And now the whole team, the whole organism benefits. And that's just another way to look at these patterns to help you in your PRI journey.